There was a 2-year-old boy who'd never seen snow before. He stood at the sliding door that led out onto the deck. He was there with his mom and his dad, and they had orchestrated the moment perfectly. It was a beautiful evening. It was the kind of heavy, thick snow that falls out of the sky so slowly and so quietly and piles up in just huge mounds, right? And the whole earth is just hushed by this blanket of snow. This kid has never seen snow before. And so his mother is standing right there beside him, ready to open the sliding glass door. His father has snuck out onto the deck in the 2 feet of snow. He's ready with the camera, recording the whole thing. His uncle's on the light switch to turn on the deck lights. And at just the right moment, the door opens, the lights turn on, the camera starts rolling, and his aunt picks him up and sets him in 2 feet of snow. And this little kid has no clue what's happening to him. And you can just see the synapses flying, right? All these different experiences. A moment of pure discovery, cold, white, wet, melting, falling, floating. And he just doesn't know what to do. And in that moment, he finally gives up trying to understand it, and he just falls backward into the snow. There's just some things that are better experienced that we can't fully understand. It was a moment of wonder. It was a moment of pure and utter wonder. The kind of moments that I think get rarer and rarer the older we get. But kids help us to know what it is to stand in awe and wonder of something. I think of the wonder of a service like this. In a few moments, we're going to grab our candles together. We're going to line up around the sanctuary and spread the light. The lights will be out. We'll be singing Silent Night together. It's just a beautiful, warm moment. Being together in the presence of God, celebrating the birth of Christ. A wonderful, wondrous moment. But I think the most wondrous thing about this whole service is actually the story that we tell. But we don't always experience it as filled with wonder, do we? Maybe because we've heard the story a few times before. We've heard it so many times maybe that we just get used to it. And it's, oh yeah, the baby was born. Oh yeah, the Prince of Peace. Oh yeah, angels. Oh yeah, Jesus. But I want us to step back for a moment tonight and try to see this story with new eyes. Another reason that I think sometimes we don't capture the wonder of this story is because we just simply don't believe it. It's a nice story. It's a nice story for kids, but we don't believe it's actually true, that it actually happened. But for a moment, if that's you tonight, I invite you to suspend your disbelief. You familiar with the concept of suspension of disbelief? When you go to a play or a musical or something, you know this isn't reality playing out in front of you. And yet you say, I'm going to suspend my disbelief so that I can fully enter into this story that's being told, fully experience what's happening in front of me. Friends, I invite us to see the story with fresh eyes. I invite us to suspend our disbelief, if only for a moment, so that we might behold the wonder of it all. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can. Or if you'd like to keep them open, that's fine too. And I'm just going to share some of the highlights of this incredible, wondrous story. An angel appears to Mary, 14-year-old unmarried Mary, says you're going to become pregnant with a child. This child will be called the Son of God. He will be a king who will rule with justice over the whole world. An angel appears to Joseph, Mary's fiancé. And the angel says, don't be afraid to take Mary as your wife, because this child that's in her isn't from anybody else, but it's from God. Yes, a baby will be born to a virgin mother. And the moment comes, they travel to Bethlehem, and there's no room for them in the inns. There's no space in the family members of Joseph's homes, evidently. Was it because the baby was born out of wedlock? Maybe. This child will be born where the animals feed. The King of all the world, the one who will save us from our sins, laid where the animals feed. The shepherds living in the fields, they were outcasts. They were living in the fields. They were homeless, basically. They were ragtag bunch of shepherds. They're the first ones that get the good news. That God sends his incredible messengers of light and glory to proclaim the good news. A Messiah is born, the one you've been waiting for, the one who will save you. A light shines in the darkness. For those who live under the thumb of the Roman oppression, the darkness of their world, a light shines in the darkness. And he will be the Prince of Peace. These people know the peace of Rome, which is really just Rome rules and you do what they say. But there will be a Prince of Peace who comes, who will bring true peace, an end to all violence, true wholeness, completeness. Do you see the wonder of it all? It's an incredible, incredible story. John 1 tells us that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then a few verses later, he tells us that same Word that was there in the beginning has become flesh. The same Word that was with God, that is God, has become flesh and has dwelt among us. And we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. This baby is not just a baby. This baby is not even just a king, as incredible as that would be. He's not even just a Messiah. The Gospels speak about it in a hushed tone. He's the Son of God. He's God himself, made flesh. God has come down into our world to be with us because he loves us so much. I read a story recently by a guy named Bob Goff. Some of you maybe have read some of his books. He's a crazy guy. He has a son named Adam who loves to skydive. And he's been through all the skydiving things and he's done like 20 assisted jumps. So now he can skydive on his own. And so Bob doesn't really care for skydiving. It kind of scares him, but he wants to be with his son and he wants to surprise his son. So he decides, you know what? I'm going to go through the training so that I can come with my son on a skydive and then surprise him by jumping out of the plane with him. Crazy, right? Well, they get up into the air. And Adam says, well, this is my moment. And he jumps out of the plane. And Bob watches his son jump out of the plane. And he's just filled with such love for him. He just has to jump after him. And he literally jumps out of his shoes to jump after his son. That's what God has done for us. God jumped out of heaven. He did something that was so risky, so filled with vulnerability. He became human. Because he loved us so much, he jumped out of his shoes, jumped out of heaven to be with us, to let us know that there is hope, that there is peace, that there is life. Unto us a son is born, unto us a son is given. Do you feel the wonder of it all? If this story really is true, then this changes everything. If God has really become human, become vulnerable, become a baby, then that changes our lives. This is an incredible love that changes the way that we live as well. We would react just like the shepherds, going out, telling everyone, praising and glorifying God for all that they have seen and heard. Well, you might say, that's all well and good. It's all well and good. Prince of Peace, you talk about the peace that Christ brings, but I don't see it. I don't see peace in this world. I don't see peace in my life. I don't see light in the darkness. When God jumped out of heaven and came down to us, he didn't promise that it was all going to end right away. But he said, I'm going to be with you in it. I'm going to be with you in the pain. I'm going to be with you in the darkness. I'm going to be your light in the darkness. I'm going to give you hope. I'll be with you. I'll be in it with you. More than that even, he said, I'll carry it for you.